Bickley and Marte mornings. Arizona Sports, the local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
The Diamondbacks have had a crazy season so far, so crazy that yesterday's white-knuckle nail-biter in San Francisco doesn't even crack the top 3 of the wildest baseball games so far this season. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for more victories and less turbulence, and in some ways, I feel pretty confident. The bullpen will surely level up with the return of Justin Martinez. The offense remains extremely potent, even if they tend to put it on cruise control when they mash early in games, and they have Ryan Nelson on deck if Eduardo Rodriguez continues to struggle. But this Ketel Marte thing is becoming something of an issue. He's a great player when healthy, but he's putting out Bradley Beal vibes when it comes to availability. From his request for a day off in the home stretch of a playoff run last year to the kid glove treatment he's received ever since his return from a hamstring injury. Meanwhile, manager Torey Lovullo is sitting on a powder keg. He takes a lot of heat, covering for a lot of people, and yet fans seem strangely eager to turn on him. And either he crashed out yesterday during a comical ejection, or he wanted to create a diversion from some of these heavier questions. Either way, the Diamondbacks played 16 games in 16 days and went 8-8 just like they hoped. But for an encore, they better break out the brooms and sweep the hapless Rockies. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Very, very. I've already had a little extra time in the 8th and the 9th inning today, so I was visiting with him. And he said he feels good. He was getting some treatment. He was on the table. And I asked him, how you doing? And he said he feels really, really good, and he's ready to go on Friday.
All right, that's Torey Lovullo making reference to the fact that he got ejected late in that game. Had more time to talk to Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte himself answered questions from the media through a translator, said this.
No, I'm good. It's solamente preveniendo y ¿sabes? Yo creo que esa fue la mejor opción.
Just being precautious. I think that was the best resolution.
Also, Lovullo was asked, hey, Marte said he felt stiffness. Where did he feel
It's
stiff?
usually his hips. It's the hips that turn into the hamstrings and the back. So that's the first sign. And he knows when it's tight, he needs to come off the field. So he's an elite athlete. He's wired very, very tight. And when the wind's blowing in your back for 2 innings or 2 games like it was the past couple nights, and then you're standing out there for long innings, it adds up. And it's once again, he played a day game after a 2-night game, so we're in a very positive space. He'll be in the lineup on Friday.
There's a school of thought in a lot of sports. Golf happens to be one of them, that you do not want to get too yoked up. You do not want to become too muscle bound to be at peak performance as an athlete.
Certainly was the thinking for decades and decades in baseball as well.
And so you worry a little bit about that with Ketel Marte, because he does look noticeably bigger than last year.
He looks like one giant muscle.
He does.
What he looks like.
He does. So I hope that this is nothing, but it does kind of stop you in your tracks, because they need Ketel Marte in that lineup.
Yeah, because also he got that extension. It's a sizable extension.
It is.
He is right now 31 years old. He's going to be 32 in October. And they need him to be able to go. We had a listener, one of our faithful listeners, you said it was Seabacher, 44, right? Who said, just give Ketel Marte the entire Colorado series off.
And
let
let
him
Jordan
rest
Lawler
up.
get some experience and some real at-bats. But the problem is,
It's not the craziest thought.
No.
But like you're going to say, the problem is,
you got to beat the Rockies. You got to beat the Rockies.
can you imagine, we come back on Monday morning and we're talking about the Diamondbacks losing 2-3 to that team?
No, that is something that cannot happen. I think it's also interesting, though, that Derek Hall kind of pulled back the curtains a little bit. Clearly, it's not just talk show hosts and baseball fans who are frustrated with limited availabilities, prescribed days off. You heard Derek Hall say that yesterday what happened with Ketel Marte might be kind of validation for this medical system they've got in place over there. Where if you want to laugh about, oh, come on, it's baseball. play. Now, again, I'm not backing off my thoughts that you got to play that game against the Dodgers. But if Ketel Marte and the medical staff is saying, with what we're seeing with this young man, it's got to be what it's got to be. It's got to be 3 days on, 1 day off. And you can tell that this is a point of friction. And you've heard the manager at times talk about negotiations.
Yeah, but exactly, because part of that negotiation was the night before,
right
after Game 2 in San Francisco. Ketel Marte, quote, standing on there, banging on the table. I hope he didn't hurt himself banging on the table.
Yeah, don't do that, Ketel.
But banging on the table saying he wanted to play.
Right.
They don't win that game without Ketel Marte yesterday.
I know. And nobody is going to take themselves out of a game in which they've hit 2 home runs just because, hey, you know what? I want to go lie on the training table for a while.
Because there also could have been another movement in the name of caution. Mm-hmm. And that would have been, okay, we appreciate that, Ketel, that you want to play. But you haven't done a day game after 2 night games, especially in San Francisco. Let's ramp up and have you play 3 games in a row where a day game's not involved. It's hard to do sometimes with the schedule, especially going into a weekend, because those Sunday games are usually day games. But let's try to get that as the next goal before you go day, night. But man, like I said, I think this is something right now. I hope it's not. I sincerely hope it's not. But it just seems like something that's going to hover over this team for a good portion of the season, if not the whole season.
And hence the Bradley Beal vibes. And Ketel Marte is a much more impactful contributor to the Diamondbacks than Bradley Beal was to the Suns. But you know what I'm saying? It's when it can be exhausting if a guy constantly is dealing with issues.
Yeah, we have to get into this too, because Torey Lovullo did lose his ever-loving mind yesterday on a play where it was clearly obstruction. And Torey came out anyway, and he explained what happened afterwards.
I don't know. I still don't know. What I do know is that it wasn't adding in the heat of the moment. It wasn't adding up to me, and I felt like they were just trying to cover themselves a little bit. But in reality, there was obstruction called. I was trying to do the math, and I didn't know how the third base umpire could be watching a fair foul ball and then the throw get off and still see the obstruction. But he pointed to it, and he had it. When I looked at him, nobody put their hands up. Nobody put their hands out and pointed obstruction. And, that's why I thought they were kind of inventing a call, but they got it right. They were really good. Umpires were good, and I stand corrected.
Yeah, it was the right call. After all, in the heat of the moment, he got that in there.
What's so funny about it to me was in watching yesterday's game, I thought that home plate umpire was about as good as I've ever seen in terms of not missing. Maybe, okay, one
It's a
pitch.
high strike. The D-backs got the benefit of the call.
Yeah, there was a handful, but overall, pretty good job.
I thought he was really good and consistent from some of the garbage I've seen this year.
Yeah.
And so for Torey to toss every single
It's the
one
best.
up.
It only exists in sports. Like, can you imagine if you got in a fight with somebody at work and you just like...
You're out of here! You out of here!
The part of it that bugged me, it was clearly obstruction on Lawler. They made the right call. Koss acted like he was dying, and to the point where we heard the highlight from Chris Garagiola on radio saying he's got a significant injury. Right. And Geraldo Perdomo's motioning to the San Francisco dugout, you got to get out here. He didn't even come off the field. He had a little bit of blood from the mouth. He could have easily got back to the bag. So it was a total flop sales job, and he got away with it. Now, the weird part was there was no extra bases awarded, which Bob Melvin got pissed about, that the runners weren't awarded second and third. Bullet dodged. It was an entertaining scene, though.
It sure was, and I hope it for some Diamondbacks fans who so easily want to blame Torey for everything. I hope that performance kind of shows you that he does have fire, because a lot of people think he doesn't.
That is true. Day off today. Ringing in the ears of the Diamondbacks. They need. You know what? I need a day off from watching them too. So this goes.
Right.
Goes pretty well.
It works both ways.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marte. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.